DramaAlert, Killer Keemstar, Daniel, the Rat. Whatever you'd like to call him, he's without a doubt one of the most recognizable and infamous personalities online. Considering the fact that, as he is the host of DramaAlert, he fits the criteria of the channel quite well. Keemstar could very well be known as the most hated online personality, as some of his past actions and even some of his current ones haven't been quite so favorable. Many choose to defend Keemstar, as he's mostly given reasonable explanations for some of his more vile actions. Because of this, Keemstar's reputation is a bit grey. Many people are just in between on how they feel about him, although that wasn't always the case. Despite some of the controversy, people continue to watch his content, not really caring what the man behind it may or may not have done. So today, I'm going to do my best at giving an objective look at Keemstar. Keemstar has made many different videos on his time on this website, but none so popular as his news videos on DramaAlert. But probably the most recognizable aspect of his channel would be his intro, which at this point is just a meme.
Let's go right into the news!
Is without a doubt one of Keemstar's most famous lines out of the many different things he's said that have become popular. It's little traits like these that are the reason he's such a recognizable character online, but who he is wouldn't really be that well known if it wasn't for the content in the first place. Keemstar makes YouTube news videos, in the line of television, but for and about the YouTube audience. If there is drama, you'll be sure that he'll be one of the first to pick up on and report it. Discussing the specific format of the videos is almost a waste of time, as it's not really that hard to explain. He sits there and reports the news. Because of it being that easy, it's a good amount of the reason why so many people have made parodies of him on YouTube. In fact, it might be safe to say that he's one of the most parodied YouTubers there is. Of course, making a parody is only easy because you don't have to go out and actually find the news, which is where the real challenge comes in when making news videos. Not only getting all the relevant stories, but getting them accurate and right away is extraordinarily hard for an individual, and that's why Keemstar doesn't do it alone. But with that, people have still accused him of getting stories wrong, or being biased towards specific people. Although when he has gotten stories wrong, he always has been open and apologetic about it. For the most part, he gets almost every story right. But what about people complaining about his bias? In news, people tend to do their very best to be objective, and many have pointed out that Keemstar likes to interject with his opinion, but the understanding is he is a person with opinions, and he runs a YouTube channel mostly known for his personality, meaning his opinions are part of the show. 50% of the people that watch him are there for the news, and the other 50% are there to see Keemstar report the news. There was a significant amount of time in which Keemstar made an attempt to keep his opinion off the show, and only on his Twitter. For the longest time, he would always say that you go to his Twitter for his opinions on the news. But after a while, he decided to change that and just let his opinions be. Out of everything that people have ever said about him, his opinions being on the show is probably one of the only actual criticisms towards his content specifically. Most criticisms he's been given have to do with his character and decisions. The actual format of his show is pretty solid. There hasn't really been that much complaining about it. But because of some despising Keemstar, they would much prefer a different host, which during some specifically bad moments in his career, he's actually done. The only times he's ever needed a different host is when he's getting an abundance of hate, or when he's away on vacation or simply needs a break. Aside from those times, he's never really changed hosts for the sake of having a different host. But what you have to understand is that that's all it is. He's the host, not the owner. Or at least that's how it used to be. Another criticism that's been thrown his way is that he technically didn't have ownership over DramaAlert. On multiple occasions in the past, Keemstar has been banned from using YouTube altogether. In the light of this, the only way he could literally be allowed to run a YouTube channel is if the channel wasn't in his name, and he was simply the one hosting it. So because of this exploit, he has continued to run the current DramaAlert channel for as long as it's been up. But that has now changed, as he's now free on YouTube once again, allowing him to have full ownership of the channel, which he does. DramaAlert isn't the only channel he owns. Over time, Keemstar has started and gotten involved with numerous different projects, but none so well known as the Baited Podcast. Keemstar isn't by any means new to podcasting, as he once had a podcast by the name of The Bad Kids Cast, but this was the first that really changed how people saw podcasts on YouTube. Keemstar didn't just make a podcast, he made a whole new wave of people wanting to replicate precisely what he did. Keemstar isn't dumb, he knows the value in conflict, as that's literally what his channel is based around. So how do you bring the drama world into podcasting? Well, put 3 people together that will argue about and have different opinions about whichever topic it may be, and you have a recipe for success. And that's how it happened. The original hosts were Keemstar, Colossal is Crazy, and Tommy C. Keemstar and Colossal were the stars of the show. Tommy C was nicknamed the Laugh Track. What About Baited changed podcasts was the now urge for conflict. You couldn't just make a podcast, it had to be with differing opinions. Before Baited, there was criticism about single-minded podcasts, but the criticism was ever strengthened with the uprise of Baited, and if it weren't for Keemstar, we wouldn't have as many commentary podcasts as we do today. There was a bit of controversy revolving the podcast when Keemstar made the decision to kick Tommy C and Colossal is Crazy, but that has mostly faded away as Colossal has actually returned as a permanent host. Keemstar has shown to be a very successful person with the content he has, but I do have to say the content itself would probably be nothing if it weren't for his personality. With over 2 million subscribers and a daily view average of 600,000, I would bet that none of this would have been possible without Keemstar's personality. Why do you know Keemstar? Well, it would probably be because of one of the many memes made of him or one of the many videos made about the things he's done. In either case, it all runs back to him just being who he is. YouTube is heavily personality driven, so it doesn't surprise me to see someone like him as successful as he is. Many reoccurring words have been used to describe him, such as manipulative, psychopathic, and others of the insultive nature. But to literally describe him without pushing a bad guy narrative, I think the best word to suit him would be passionate. He is very passionate about YouTube, his opinions, drama, and his involvement in things. He is a passionate guy. He's pretty firm in his beliefs, and he doesn't like to lose. As he and many others have stated, he's a businessman. And, well, he literally is. But it just happens that he landed himself on YouTube. Keemstar takes a fond interest in progressing himself in any way possible. He'll try all sorts of things to see what he can do to push himself forward in this game we call YouTube. So he's also fairly ambitious. Keemstar likes a lot of things. Some of those would be games, YouTube, and the obvious drama. Something I think people don't pay much attention to is the fact that he likes to figure things out, whether it would be what someone said means, a change to YouTube, or just whatever situation he's in at the moment. He likes to try and find the answers to problems. To give an example of this, when the YouTube ad boycott happened, his first instinct was to see what he could do to help. Thanking Coca-Cola for staying with YouTube, his plan was to show that it's worth having ads on YouTube, in the hopes that some of the bigger advertisers would come back. But he later found out that Coca-Cola stopped putting ads on YouTube as well. So it's not uncommon to see him theorize about some of the different things in the community, oftentimes making educated assumptions about the topic at hand. These assumptions have put him in bad places before, sometimes unintentionally spreading hate to someone that didn't deserve it. He's been called out for things like this before. It's actually kind of common. Keemstar's response to hate is generally not how most people would approach it. He's a very defensive person. He'll pretty much say anything to get his point across, but in the past, his temper has been quite frequently pointed at when criticizing him. In rage, Keemstar has said some pretty regrettable things, and he himself regrets most of it. While he will talk trash about people, he's not ignorant. He knows when he's taken it too far, or said something he shouldn't have. I'll put it like this. Keemstar is a gift to the commentary community. The extent to which people made videos on him was one of the greatest on YouTube in general. There have probably been more videos on Keemstar than anyone else on YouTube. But it's funny to think that because of that, many people have started their career on YouTube. People have made lots of money because of Keemstar. And for the hate that he received, he should be proud of the fact that he caused such an uproar. It's not that often when someone is hated as much as him. It's not uncommon to still see videos made on him, including this one. So in that sense, Keemstar has had a profound impact on the commentary community. One thing that I believe came from a lot of the drama with Keemstar is the necessity for context. Many of the situations Keemstar has been in can be taken out of context to make him look like a worse person than he really is. But now that people know the truth about him, people have been very cautious about using things out of context. If you really think about all the little things that people have learned and gained from Keemstar's existence, it starts to rapidly add up. Just think of all the little editing tricks people have learned, or friends people have made, or conversations that have taken place. For a while, Keemstar was the community's punching bag, and in the end, I believe it's been a good thing. Keemstar is an internet celebrity, and his influence goes beyond just his videos. He's responsible for more things than we can count, and many of them will probably play out for a better and more entertaining future. And finally, I think the YouTube community as a whole learned a valuable lesson from him. If you want someone to disappear, the best way is certainly not giving him attention.